I'm Doug Atkinson here at Solutions Review, and I want to thank all of our panelists and speakers for participating in this quarterly mini jam. These events have been wildly successful for us, helping to drive over 700,000 subscribers to our YouTube channel in the first year alone. And of course, we are continuing to build the always-on community site at insidejam.com, where you can connect with experts like you'll see today, along with colleagues and peers, and continue the conversation around enterprise technology. If you haven't already joined insidejam.com, please do. And if you have, please invite a colleague to join as well. And again, thank you very much for being here and enjoy this event.
Solutions Review presents Inside Jam, an enterprise technology community.
Welcome back. My name is Jonathan Paul, the Director of Multimedia and Events here at Solutions Review. Excited to bring you our last panel of the Mini Jam Q1 for 2025, and that panel is the Year of AI Agents, Trends, Predictions, and Transformation. We've assembled another great group of folks from around the country to talk about it. Joined by them now, Nandan, David, John, Casey, Paige, and Unmesh. Thank you for being here. Really looking forward to this discussion. Nandan, you've agreed to moderate, so I'll let you kick off the introductions. 30 seconds or so, tell the audience a bit about yourself.
Yeah, hello everyone. I'm Nandan Mulekura. I'm passionate about AI and technology in general. I've been in AI and automation for about a decade now. Right now, I'm the founder of Bot Nirvana. We are enabling next-gen digital transformation with AI agents.
Excellent. Thank you for being here. Next, let's go over to David.
Hey, folks. David Sweenor here. I'm a marketing and AI strategist, author, and founder of Tiny Tech Guides. I've spent 25 years in analytics and AI, working with companies like Alteryx, TIBCO, SAS, IBM, a bunch of them, and now I've written a few books on generative AI, so glad to be here.
Thank you for being here. Appreciate your time. John.
Hey, John Santaferraro here, CEO of Ferraro Consulting. I'm also the host of the Digital Analyst on Inside Jam.
That's right.
A place where AI makes sense. And so it's exciting to be here. This is the year of the AI agents. Let's get this going.
Appreciate that. All right. Casey, over to you next.
I am Casey Lai. I am the founder of Prometheum. So Prometheum is the leading data fabric company. I'm also the host of the Data Fabric Show. Surprise, surprise. And, one of the reasons we built a data fabric was because we saw this trend shifting towards natural language and, of course, Gen AI. So the architecture for data analytics quite wasn't ready. And that's why we had to build data fabric. And now we're seeing great adoption from that perspective, from data fabric and data mesh. And so really excited here to share our perspectives on all things AI and AI agents.
Excellent. Thank you for being here. Paige, welcome to the show.
Hi. I'm Paige Roberts. I'm head of technical evangelism at Good Game, and I've been in the data management, data architecture, data engineering space for about 28 years. I've learned a few things along the way, worn a lot of hats, and I write books for fun. I've written a few for O'Reilly, technical books. I think the last one I helped with was Up and Running with Aerospike. And I also write fiction for joy.
Right on. Appreciate it. Thank you for being here. And Unmesh, welcome to the show.
This is Unmesh Kulkarni. I work as the Senior Vice President of Generative AI at Credence. We are a specialist AI and data services company. I've been working in the field of AI and data for about 12 years now. I'm very passionate about actually taking these latest innovations and applying them to make the world a better place for people and for companies. I'm very excited about what agentic AI can do for us, and I'm looking forward to the discussion today. Thank you.
I am looking forward to it as well. Thank you again, everyone, for being here. Appreciate it. I'll get out of the way and let you kick things off, Nandan, with our first question. Take it away.
Thank you, Jonathan. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Year of AI Agent, right? I think as someone mentioned, 2025 surely is the year of AI agents, right? I mean, we've seeing this getting adopted, and we're seeing new agents come in as well. So we've seen agents from OpenAI, like the Operator, Deep Research. We've seen agents from Anthropic. We're seeing a lot of coding agents like Cursor. So a lot of action in this field. So it's great to have this awesome panel to discuss about AI agents and this year of AI agents. So let's kick things off today with an exciting question, right? So what are the most exciting key trends you're seeing with AI agents today? And I'll open it up to the panel. Who wants to go first?
Great. Let me hop in then. We have actually seen a lot of exciting stuff in the generative AI space over the last 2 years since ChatGPT launched, right? And I actually see this agentic AI as really the next phase in the evolution of AI, right? We started with statistical models, deep learning, generative AI with LLMs. And with agentic, we are actually putting generative AI to work. Now, it is shifting from talking to you and answering questions to actually doing your work. That's a massive lift. And that is probably the biggest change that's happening, right? The ability to interact with systems, take feedback from people, and actually get stuff done. Those are the biggest trends I see in 2025 with agentic AI.
Awesome. Anyone else?
I just wanted to add, they're becoming like the new SaaS applications. They're kind of taking over a lot of that capability that we associate with the cloud. And with, I think Eng calls it AI is the new electricity because it's so useful and pervasive and so many different things it can use for. I think it's AI is the new internet. It is going to change our lives in ways we haven't even thought of, and it's going to probably touch everything that we do.
Awesome. Yes. New SaaS.
Been here. I think that one of the things that's really exciting to me is the true agentic, and I'm going to call it true agentic because there's a lot of confusion in the marketplace. But when you have agents that are intelligent, able to reason, they're autonomous, they can act, they can react, they can interact with other agents or with people or machines or devices. They're adaptive because they're learning, and of course they're limited. These to me are the true agents, and we're seeing them emerge to actually mimic the things that humans do. And I would say that to be excited about that, I would have to say I'm not so excited about generative AI, which is like tiny agent, a little bit of agency. And I don't even think of that as agentic, but I am excited about the true agentic that is emerging here in 2025.
Great point. And I think though generative AI is what's leading to agentic. So awesome. All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think what I'd like to just add to that, what's kind of disruptive, but also very powerful, as you said earlier, Nandan, is we now have the ability to use AI agents to actually do things for us. And so I'm seeing them pop up in roles like, for example, SDRs, right? What we call inside sales, for example. A lot of that can now be automated with AI agents. We're seeing them in finance and accounting, being able to kind of replace or automate a lot of the manual workflows. So I think we're going to find that a lot of jobs that used to require a lot of manual hand-holding and workflows are going to be ripe for agents to sort of displace or replace, but also augment as well, because that's really what they do very well. If you have a well-defined set of rules and processes, that's the best place to start off, right, for agents to actually start doing that. And so we're starting to see that, and I'm starting to hear from customers the kind of amazing cost savings that they're able to get by deploying agents in these kind of what used to be very labor intensive and manual roles and operations.
Excellent. Yeah.
Casey, just to build on that, I think that's where I see agents heading. So, they're going to be, I think, increasingly specialized. We see this with large language models. Now we're talking about small language models. So these agents, you mentioned inside sales, right? They're going to be specific to domains, whether it's sales or marketing or manufacturing or healthcare. And that's what I'm excited about, get the real work done, moving it beyond these sort of general purpose tools. I think they're going to be very specific to the industry or domain they operate in.
Yeah. And I just wanted to add, and great points there, right? And I just wanted to summarize, true agentic, the agents that can sense, act, react. So we have true agentic there. So new SaaS applications, that's an awesome terminology. And I think agents would in fact start taking over a lot of this SaaS functionality like Satya Nadella was talking about. But to me also the because being from automation, being from an RPA AI background, the manual, moving away from the manual things and doing real things is something really exciting to me. One of the terms that I would like to introduce is agentic process automation. This probably not many have heard, but this is the evolution of process automation now. And process automation has been pretty useful, whether it is BPA or BPM or RPA or iPaaS. Now we are moving towards and more of an agentic future. And I actually wrote an 80-page report on this one. And then as I was writing this report, I discovered that there's a huge convergence happening. You name it, all the players, including the ERP players, CRM players like Salesforce with Agentforce, every other player is actually adding agentic capabilities, and it's kind of moving towards agentic process automation before becoming AI agents. Because the difference between agentic process automation agents is that here we have agents within workflows. So it's a little bit more constrained, more controlled. And so you can actually do useful stuff as AI agents become more capable, because they could go off the rails at some points of time. So,
Ranjan, I thought you were going to tell us that as you're writing your 80-page paper that you figured out an agent could have done that for you, work faster. I thought that was where it's going, but nonetheless.
Yeah. I mean, let's talk about that, right? Like, let's talk about next in terms of where or which industries or business areas we are seeing this significant transformation with AI agents.
I like the term agentic process automation. I tend to call it task-based agent, right? There's task agents, and then that's evolving into more persona-based agents. And so I like task because, robotic process automation was really active in ERP, but these task agents are so far beyond that. So many things, booking a flight, making a reservation, planning a trip. So it goes beyond what RPA was. But what's really exciting to me is these persona-based agents. And one of the areas where we're really seeing it is in the area of business intelligence, where you now have the digital or agentic data analyst or business analyst, so that somebody could call up that analyst, talk to that analyst, and get everything that they would normally get from a business analyst or a data analyst. And so it's expanded not just from RPA and task-based kinds of things to persona-based activities. So filling the role that a person fills in a particular organization. That's really exciting to me.
Yeah, no, I keep saying that, RPA was automating tasks. Here you could potentially automate roles. Yeah.
I think financial is really being driven. It's ironic because they're usually one of the more conservative and like risk averse and one of the last industries to jump in. But people trying to launder money or commit fraud or, and the constant demand for more and more real-time financial transactions and trading and all of that, you put those together and you've gotten to where you can't have a human in the loop. They're not fast enough. You've got to have some kind of an AI figure that out. And it's, for years, we've been using like machine learning. We're starting to get to where we're doing more of the generative. We're starting to put that into agentic workflows with LangChain and things like that. And I think at this point, it's like if I do an online transaction with any of the top 20 global banks, it's like that's almost certainly going through an AI workflow at some point.
I think that is the irony, though, right? Like, businesses that are conservative usually are littered with documents, paperwork, and process. But the irony is that's really good for AI agents, because you can just feed that to them and they instantly can understand, hey, here's the entire workflow. Here's all the machinations of different ways you can go. And they can do that, like Paige said, way faster than a human being can. But the great thing is, because it's so well documented and so well controlled, your level of accuracy can actually be pretty high for those specific tasks. So that's actually, one of the more interesting disruptive things, that what used to be like super conservative industries may actually be the ones who actually adopt right? This new revolution, right? The agentic revolution.
Yeah, if you look at the broader spectrum of agents that are getting deployed, especially in the industry, I think they fall into two broad categories. Like one is honestly not very specific to the industry vertical. There are a lot of generic things that we do which are functional in nature and they apply to all industries, right? John, you mentioned reports and analytics, right? Every business of any reasonable size requires insights, analytics, and agents are really, really good at parsing huge amounts of data, combining documents and structured data, and providing inputs, recommendations, or actions and stuff like that, right? We are looking at agents for software engineering. That applies to all industries, right? Data science, like Google just launched a data science agent yesterday. So those are a lot of horizontal agents that we see getting deployed. And at Tradens, we are also seeing very, very deep interest in industry-specific agents, right? Agents for supply chain management. Retail and CPG are leading with that, right? Paige, you mentioned agents for financials. We are actually running some agentic workflows for risk processing with mortgages, right? So those are very interesting vertical applications, and both are happening. The horizontals across industries and very, very specific targeted workflows and process-specific agents that are really deep experts in their respective areas.
Awesome. Thanks, Unmesh.
Anyone else? I just wanted to add telecom also is doing a lot of that because the new 5G is kind of bringing in all of the Internet of Things. All of the devices are now sending them information, and they're having to deal with that and figure things out as they're going along. And that's, again, they're pretty much in the situation where they have to do something that's faster than humans can do it. And agentic AI is the right way to do it. It's the way that's going to move forward.
Yeah, and I think we're seeing, pretty big strides in the healthcare arena as well. People say they prefer the output of an LLM in general to a human doctor. They're just probably nicer. But the one thing that strikes me is if you have these multi-agent systems, agent one does something, passes on to agent two to three, you get this chain. If the beginning is screwed up, doesn't it mess up the whole stream? And what risk does this introduce to organizations? Is what goes through my name? How do you even detect that in a multi-agent system?
Did somebody mention guardrails? And I think that's like so important. That's a big concept. Who was it? Write that one up.
Yeah. And so I think we need to talk about the challenges, but I think a lot of great ideas there, from finance to healthcare. I would like to add manufacturing. I think a lot of Inside Jam people are from manufacturing. So a good amount of use cases in terms of predictive maintenance, especially of machines, production optimization. That's something. Healthcare, as you mentioned, the enhanced diagnostics, the fraud detection is an awesome use case. And again, many of these use cases we did start with the RPA AI age, and the thing is that, and I think we all mentioned that the enhanced cognitive abilities of the large brain that we have now, right? I call the large language model as a large brain now because it's actually an artificial brain that we have really developed. And you can use that to make decisions in terms of, okay, this is a fraud and this needs to be sent to somebody quickly. All those quick decisioning, which earlier we had to hard code, now can be actually made. Agents can take the decision and take that action fast. One more thing is retail and hyper personalization. But that's also another awesome area.
Landon, I don't know if I could throw in another one, but I think there's
easy. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, there's an evolution as well from persona-based then to more ecosystem-based agentic architectures, and that is also exciting. So we've seen a lot in software engineering, but it's really software development. It's writing code, and there's I'm working with an organization now that's really exciting. What they're doing is they're looking at the entire software engineering lifecycle. So not just code development, but think about it. There's a business owner, a product owner. There are the architects, there are the developers, there are the operations people. They all work. And every time you define a product, you have multiple projects to be able to make it work. And then you have multiple intakes, right? And to be able to make that work. And they're working on 5 or 7 different products. And if you're a company that has 100 of those going, and you can bring AI to bear in that ecosystem, now that's powerful. That's far more powerful than just writing code. So I think that in 2025, I think it's going to be second half, we're going to begin to see these intelligent ecosystems as well. That's coming.
Yeah.
That's an
I
excellent.
think it's already coming. I think what you're talking about is a automation or a collapsing of workflow.
Multi-agent systems.
Multiple teams, multiple people that are now being done with multiple agents, right? So we're seeing that obviously in the data analytics space where we play, where, to actually answer a analytics question that no one has ever asked before, normally that involves, asking someone from the data engineering team to go, build a pipeline, someone from the data governance team to make sure that we got proper guardrails, someone from the data analyst team to write the query, someone from the business analyst team to actually build the dashboards. And we're actually seeing there are solutions that can actually collapse or automate or chain together that entire workflow with combination of different agents for different tasks. And so that is definitely something that my company Prometheum is also heavily in the forefront, but we're not the only ones. We're definitely seeing that as a trend, where as solution providers in this space, people are already moving towards that path of it's not good enough to just have it be one role or one task. There's greater value when you can focus on an outcome. And that outcome involves multiple tasks and multiple personas. So that's definitely what we're saying. It's super exciting.
Yeah, and multiple personas, multiple agents interacting with each other, collaborating, and even with humans, right? And completing a task. Yep. Anyone else?
I did say I think you pointed out of one of the other industries that's really being revolutionized, and we're not thinking of it as a vertical, but it's us. It's the designing of any kind of application is becoming completely changed. And it's becoming, I think you mentioned, in financial, they have all of this documentation of how the steps are supposed to go. And those are essentially requirements for what needs to happen. And when I gather requirements to start a new application project, I'm doing the same thing. And now at this point, I think Dave Spurgis is an old friend of mine, and he wrote a thing. It's like requirements are now code.
Yeah.
So the idea of I gather my requirements and then I write the code to meet them is kind of out the window to a large extent. It's like if you get the requirements right, the AI can create the code, and you go through the reflection or whatever it is you need to do, multi-agents, to check it and debug it and test it, and please put some guardrails on it. But when you're done, it's completed a complete application, and those requirements are what actually created the application. You didn't have to write individual syntax of code.
Pieces of code, yeah. And that reminds me of that meme that you must have seen, right? Like what the business analyst described it as, and what the project manager side as, or what a developer developed it as. And so there has been that loss of knowledge, right? I now know of companies who are actually, this is a bit debated that, in the sense that they're monitoring the people's computers and recording what they're doing, and that actually creates what they're calling as the data of work. So basically whatever people are performing, that's all captured. It's called process mining or task mining, if you've heard about it. That's actually task mining. And then based on that data, now AI can, like you said, Casey, spin up this applications. So yeah, so end-to-end application development. Yeah. All right, and we did talk about horizontal versus vertical agents too. That's also an awesome area, because we're kind of in the horizontal agents era right now, and I think Unmesh, you also mentioned we are seeing more vertical agents, and I see a lot more very, very vertical agents coming up. So let's move on to what could be the best practices, right? Like now companies, you guys shared, are embracing AI agents. So what are the best practices that you all see emerging?
I have an earth-shattering best practice, I think we're going to have to focus on data quality. I think we've been talking about this probably for our entire careers, all of us here, but organizations, they're still struggling with it. And if they can't get that right, your house of cards falls over.
Yeah,
It's
that's
always data.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm actually, right here in Gartner, in Orlando, Gartner's Data Analytics Summit. And actually, coincidentally, I actually gave a talk yesterday on like the how to avoid chaos and the pitfalls to avoid, right, and having successful AI deployment. But Gartner actually did a study that said they surveyed a bunch of CIOs and CDOs and said, why haven't you guys rolled out AI projects? Why haven't you rolled out AI projects? Everyone knows they want it in data and analytics, but very few actually have it in production. And the number one reason, I think 49% of all respondents, and the reason why they won't do it is trust, reliability, right? Verifiability, right? So it goes beyond quality of the data, right? It goes beyond that. It goes into, well, how do I know you put it together right? How do I know it came from the right source, right? How do I know I can trust like how it was assembled? So I think quality has become, before we used to think of data quality, it's really kind of like we're limited to like the column, right? The specific fields, etc. This is now much bigger than that, because if you're now trusting the agents to do all the work in terms of the discovery, the transformation, the prep, and the assembly, there's now a lot more tasks you need to do to introspect and verify. And so this gets into a lot of explainability, right? AI explainability. It's like, great, you've automated, but now you need to explain and show me why I believe what you actually did is good, right? So all the things that we've been talking about, like lineage, data quality, it comes into focus. The hard part is, how do you do that just as quickly? So just as quickly as you give the answer, you have to just as quickly give the explanation as part of the output so that people can trust it. And I think that's what's holding people back, right? If you like, I walked around the solution floor, every vendor has some sort of Gen AI offering to do text to SQL. But if you just ask the person to do a demo, how do I know that's right? They all kind of give you kind of a surprised and kind of uncomfortable look. But that's really kind of, I think, the main focus in 2025 we really need to focus on is people need to be able to say, when you do it quickly, I trust you. I can verify that is going to be the right answer.
Yeah, and I also think, Casey, to that point, there is also a need for a mindset shift. Because we are moving from a deterministic world, or deterministic plus a non-deterministic world. So there is, again, I would welcome everyone's views on this, but there is, to some extent, there needs to be a trust with the AI and work from the other side, in the sense that instead of knowing what it is doing, looking at what it is providing and doing evals or evaluation, and see how to make it work. What are your thoughts on that? You understand what I'm saying, right? Because we were always in a deterministic world. So I could code something and I could say that, okay, yes, this did not give the output that I wanted, but but it gave something, so let me go debug it and find out. But here there is no debug. That it's more of an evaluation and trying to work with the AI agent. So because I've been working on it, that's I can see that we have to have a mindset shift in terms of some trusting and some logging and things, so that we are able to embrace that cognitive aspect of this powerful aspect as well.
It's like trust but verify, right? You want to be
Yeah,
you have to have the trust, but it is very interesting because the content that is generated is not objectively easy to evaluate, right? So we did a prospecting automation, right? Someone mentioned earlier, sales automation, prospecting automation. So you're creating this very personalized content for prospecting or upsell campaigns or whatever. How do you actually say this is 9 out of 10 or 2 out of 10, right? It was earlier very easy because you had a deterministic output with which to compare. And that is not very true with unstructured language outputs, pictures and images. We are creating this campaign tools for a large candy company in the US, right? Where instead of taking 2 months, the agents are helping you run a campaign in 2 weeks. But once you have this case where you are actually generating text and images and potentially videos sometime soon with agentic AI, how do you evaluate if all of the right brand guidelines are followed, the company's policies are followed, you're not mentioning a lot of your competitors, right, in your own campaigns? How do you actually evaluate that? It's not an easy problem to solve, but we are actually seeing a lot of companies, especially the cloud providers and companies like Databricks and Snowflake, actually coming forward with very, very interesting solutions. There are also startups in the Silicon Valley and elsewhere who are attacking pieces of that problem, right? Quality assurance is a big problem. And putting it all together is something that CIOs, CTOs should start thinking upfront rather than as a bolt-on add-on at the end of the project. That's something, one of the things I would say to be something very, very careful of upfront during the planning phases.
Agreed. Yeah, Paige?
It's just that thinking testing, I mean, exactly what you just said. Testing needs to almost be a first, it needs to be the beginning. You need to start with, how do I test whether or not this is accurate? How do I know if it did what I want it to do?
Yes.
I have to test the edge cases. I have to make sure that it's not doing what I didn't intend it to do.
Yes.
And to do that, you have to just test the crap out of it. You have to have some QA that's next level, and that's definitely not something I think a lot of people are thinking about right now. That level of, I've got to have guardrails so it can't go beyond here. I've got to check to see if it's doing this or doing this, which we don't want it to do. I've got to check that it is doing this really well that we do want it to do. And those are all, I mean, in the past, we've had trouble with like natural language processing and deep learning capabilities that could dive in and give you a more accurate answer, except that no one trusted it because they had no idea what it was doing under the covers. Whereas if you did like a decision tree, which you could very easily see what the reasoning was, then you trusted the answers.
Yeah.
I worked at a previous company where they put out an AI application that helped with pricing cars at auctions. And the person who priced the cars because they were experienced was relatively good. The person who was inexperienced was terrible. The AI by itself was only slightly better than the inexperienced person. The best at it was the person and the AI, but they couldn't get it accepted. No one would use it, especially not the experienced people, until they put the explanation in there, until they explained how it came to that conclusion. And I think that Casey mentioned that as well. It's like being able to explain why you say that is sometimes as important as giving us a final decision.
I think also that, there is a range of technologies that we need to think of because like you mentioned, decision tree. So if you want explainability and, solid explainability, yeah, go for a decision tree like representation because, and remember that we still have the deterministic apps. We still have machine learning. We have many of these different representations. And we also have this new thing like Unmesh was talking about. So you need to choose what is right for your use case. So for some of these use cases, this new AI may not be the right fit, and that's something I really caution people because everyone wants to be in terms of let's build an AI agent for that. But is AI agent the right thing for that? So that's something to think about. All right. So any other thoughts on any best practices? I think some more best practices is probably to think of is the ensuring the human oversight. I think that to some extent covers for this unpredictability which is there. And actually one more point is that this needs to be a continuous process at this point of time, because what we're calling as testing now is calling as evaluation because it's done at the beginning along with the development. And then it has to be continuous because the models keep changing and the output could keep changing. So so I think human ends oversight. And one more thing I think is the change management, fostering a culture of innovation, ensuring that people are all on board and innovating with AI, and we all working together. I think that those are some good best practices.
Yeah, I think there needs to be a shift in thinking about innovation too, because most of what I'm seeing is from 1.2 to 1.3 or from it's doing something better, right? And we're sitting on the precipice of opportunity for 0 to 1 kinds of innovations. And the companies that are thinking about that kind of innovation are going to be the winners, because there are new products to be developed. There are new services to be developed.
Yes.
There are new business models to be explored. And those are potentially 0 to 1. And if all we're looking at is how do I improve productivity, which, by the way, we should be looking at it. But if that's all we're looking at, we're going to miss the opportunities that are the 0 to 1 innovations. And that's where the real money is.
Yeah, good point, John. Yeah. And I think, again, I go back to my mindset shift, right? Who can make the biggest mindset shift can go from that 0 to 1 to new opportunities. Awesome. Yeah, agreed.
It's kind of like when film first happened, right? All people knew were musicals. And so all they did was put musicals on film, and they had no idea that they could do something else. When we went from radio to TV, people did radio programs on television. And now you look at where we're at with filmmaking. Well, this is that kind of a shift. Right. So I think we're so early. We have no clue what those real shifts are going to be, but they're coming. They're coming now.
It's like the internet. It's like no one could have possibly imagined Salesforce, or Uber for that matter. It's like there's so many things that back in the 90s when the internet was young, even Google was crazy.
Yeah.
It's like there are things that we have not even thought of yet that are going to come soon.
Yeah, I agree.
We don't know what we don't know, but we do know that one thing is really, really critical, and that's people, right? Whether it is how do we actually enroll people in this change, right? The fact that we have to do the ethos, pathos, and logos, right? A lot of us technologies particularly start with the logic part of it, and that doesn't work. And to explain to people that this AI, whether it's agentic AI or any other form of AI in future, is actually there to help you, right?
Yeah.
Not replace you, not better than you necessarily. It's actually something that helps me do what I want to do in a more creative way, faster and better, right? I think that will really, really kind of take away a lot of objections. That will help people enroll people's minds into making this happen, and then keeping the people involved throughout the process, getting them upfront understanding, like AI should ask clarifying questions. So it's actually doing the right thing, right? It's actually humans need to review the process and make sure that it stays on its path. And then the end outcome of the AI agentic systems should also be reviewed by humans. So human experts still have a very, very critical role, right? We went from riding horses to cars, but still the car doesn't tell you where to go. It's not. And we have to really understand and remember that we humans are the key decision makers, and expertise is still very, very valuable.
Yeah, and I think
a lot of times people kind of, I think we get too caught up on the end result, right? We get like, oh my God, this can automate this. And I think sometimes you need to take a step back and say, even if the end result was not 100%, the fact that it was 90, 80, but it was done in 5 seconds, guys, that's still a huge win, right? Yes, right, to Amish's point, the human needs to get involved, but think about that. The human waited 5 seconds to get involved, as opposed to what before? The human waited 3 months. So sometimes when I hear like, oh, I can't trust it, it's not accurate, it's like, well, slow down, right? Like this is not going to happen overnight, but the fact that you took a task from 3 months to 5 seconds for the human to get, like, come on, let's celebrate that. That is a huge, huge step in the right direction. So I think back to, kind of what Nanda was saying is the mindset shift, right? It's not only just willingness to adopt, it's also willingness to kind of look at, the improvement, right, that we've had. And it's staggering, right? Like what John said, like you need to recognize that if you're going to do the next 0 to 1, because if you're so close-minded that unless it's 100% accurate, I'm not going to use it, you're kind of missing the point here, right? It's that iteration is going to rapidly get us to the next big thing, but you need to be willing to adopt that and be willing to say, look, the fact that I fixed 30 problems today, as opposed to, 1 every 3 months, that's a big, good thing. That's definitely a huge step in the right direction.
Yeah.
I think one really good example of that, David mentioned healthcare. there was, so if you were trying to map the shapes of proteins, like 120,000 of them were mapped over the last 50 years or whatever, a long time. And it took a year for a human to try and get that done. And then they finally found an AI that was 90% accurate doing that. And they were able to map 200 million of them.
Yeah.
All the rest of the proteins in the world in a year.
AlphaFold, yeah.
And yeah, I mean, just the exponentially, I mean, beyond exponentially improvement. It doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be way better than us.
Yeah. And that reminds me of the RPA days, when we started OCR, which is reading text from documents, it would be at like 50-60%, and then people would say, yeah, this doesn't work. It even reached 80-90%, but people would not use it because it's not fully automated. But really, we really want it to be fully automated. And then like autonomous cars, now, so people were like, yeah, the autonomous cars doesn't work. But then now Waymo is an autonomous car. But then people are like, okay, yeah. So yeah, I mean, I think we need to use what is useful right now. And yeah, that's an awesome point.
Well, it's what we mean to have autonomous cars, but I mean, I went to back up and my husband almost backed into a pole and the car beep, 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 hits the brakes.
Yeah.
I've had the car less than a week, and it's just it saved me from having an accident.
Yeah.
And that is straight from the AI of trying to create an autonomous car. Let's use the piece of it that we can use.
That's useful. Yeah, exactly.
By the way, we call them autonomous cars, self-driving cars. It's actually what has been created is an AI agent that mimics the role of a driver. It is an agent. That is agentic AI.
That is agentic AI.
It's one of our agents. So because I know people have been working on this for decades, the autonomous car problem. All right. So now let's talk about the impact. Like Unmesh said, people, there's a big impact because of AI agents in the workforce. So how can we overcome them? Any thoughts, any ideas on that? Okay.
I do. I want to say one more thing. I think before we skip on, it's like we kind of skipped over the whole challenge of data, and I think that's like the elephant in the room, because the data management over time has become, every single time AI takes a leap forward, trying to manage all the data has been the thing holding it back. And I think until we step up our game as data engineers, as data architects, as data management vendors, we have to step up our game. We have to, because the agentic AI needs that data. It's a giant data munching monster. And if we feed it bad data, if we feed it false information, that's what we're going to get back is lies and hallucinations and things like that. It's like you've got to be able to figure out how to do RAG or CAG workflows that actually give you accurate information. It's like you've got to be able to get all that data from all over your enterprises and make it sensible and clean and all of that. I could go on that all day. That is my area, but it's like this is something we need to like not gloss over. That is a huge problem.
Yeah. No, I just a comment. I think data is important, but I think this is where people are saying finally realizing that metadata is even more important. And for our listeners who might not have a handle on that, just go to Amazon, type in a sneakers or something, shoes. There's like 80 filters for shoes. That's all the metadata, right? So like one SKU, that's the data, but then there's like the size, the color, the material, the whatever you want. That's metadata. That's more important. Without that, you're not going to find anything. So I think organizations need to really get a handle on their metadata, because that's, in my mind, is probably even more important than the data, or is at least equally important.
Absolutely. But the interesting thing also is that a lot of these problems are very interestingly solved by AI itself. For example, we used to actually have people do metadata tagging, right? And we are actually running projects for data harmonization and data enrichment using, guess what? AI. right? Because now you can actually kind of do auto tagging, self tagging, right? AI can do metadata generation for you using some kind of initial training on what kind of tags you want, right? Data privacy is a big issue, but synthetic data generation is an AI-based technique which you actually let you keep your production data in production and still train a data model in development environment using the same characteristics of the data as in production. But your data never leaves production, right? So we are solving a lot of these data problems by finding very, very innovative approaches. And at least a lot of our data AI vendors ecosystem and the cloud ecosystem has effectively found solutions to a lot of these. Now, there is still a gap between these solutions and accelerators to real production in many cases. I was talking to a CIO of a large bank. They're very proud. They're 100 years older, but it also shows in their thinking. They're like, don't tell me about this AI agentic thing, right? I'm at the bottom of Maslow's hierarchy. That's exactly what I'm figuring out water here, and you're talking about AI. And actually, AI will help you solve those problems, right? So think more boldly. Think about how your age-old problems, decades-old problems can be solved using application of some of these very, very innovative techniques.
Yeah, I think it sounds like sometimes history repeats itself, right? I mean, if you guys remember, like when ML was coming up, when AI was coming up, everyone was saying like, how you got to get the data ready, and what happened was a lot of organizations spent so much time and money trying to get it ready, and it was never ready. It can't, right? The minute you think you're done with one, you've already generated 10 times more data, right? And so I think while there's a lot of logic and a lot of value in saying get the data ready, I don't think you can manually wait for the data to be ready before you can adopt AI. And, to your point, Umesh, this is where, like, for the first time, you can actually do them in parallel and, using AI to accelerate the data readiness, right? Because and again, I agree on the metadata point, right? As an ex-data catalog guy, I can't stress that important enough. But what's happened here now is you now have the ability to collapse workflows and see outputs literally 10 to 100 times faster. And so using AI is actually going to give you a faster path to data quality. So I actually think it's slightly different. It's not wait until you have perfect data quality and then adopt AI. I think you do have to work, at the same time, because that's the only way you're going to get there. Otherwise, you're going to always be playing catch up and you'll never be able to realize the benefits of AI.
Yeah, and going back to that John's 0 to 1 point, right? This is how you think differently. And I think that's a great point to Unmesh. One more point I wanted to make, going back to the OCR thing, is that this new data is a lot about unstructured data, like the examples again that Unmesh gave, right? So even that needs to be, you need to get that in order. And again, AI can use that. AI is improving OCR, and I don't know if you have recently seen Gemini 2 and all that, that's getting into order. So again, all that is AI is actually helping with the AI development here. So it's really an awesome time. So I think this is really exciting times, right? So I just wanted to ask you all, in the next 1 to 3 years, what aspects of this agentic technology do you expect to advance most, and how would this reshape those industries? Even somebody said people and the world. Okay.
I think we did touch upon this, right? We're going to go from tasks to role to workflow to applications. I really do think the way applications are built is going to change. If you think about right now, all the data platforms, everyone's going through a modernization and adding agentic architecture to all the data platforms. But applications, for the most part, like enterprise application we use, still human click. You have to memorize 26 buttons and the sequence of the 26 buttons in order to do something. I don't think that's going to last. I think what's going to happen is people are going to move towards a point where the applications are agentic as well, which means the applications are going to be 100% prompt-based, right? So today in Salesforce, for example, I might look at one page and click on 4 reports. John might look at 4 other pages and click on 16 different reports. Salesforce has to build all those pages and all those reports to ship this one big monolithic app. But what if John could just say, hey, this is all I want to see today, the 2 reports? What if I say, hey, I just need these 2 buttons today? Just think about the UI and the UX for application development. That fundamentally changes now, right? It may not even persist longer than a day. It may not even persist longer than a use case anymore. So I actually do think that application development will be the next frontier, right? As we start getting really good at the tasks, really good at the roles, really good at the workflows. It's only a matter of time, right? If the data platforms are already agentic and applications have to feed off of that, I think that's what's coming next. And when that happens, it will change how we all work because we consume applications, not just at work, but also in our personal lives.
Yeah.
Ironically, I've already seen applications where you just talk to it and tell it, hey, I want to know, how did the West region do last year, versus this year? And it just gives you that information in a graph or whatever. It's like, we're already there on that. I suspect at some point, not too far in the future, you're going to be like, I really wish I had a program that did this. Could you just
It's not just answering the question. Imagine if you said, this is what I want my CRM to look like. So build your CRM.
I wish this program that I had did this thing, and it doesn't. Right. Can you just add that?
Yes, that's where I think it's going, right? Yeah.
Yeah. And also, I think Paige, someone mentioned that. So new internet also is possible, right? Like right now you're browsing through stuff. And basically, how about a future where you are actually just, like chatting? I mean, just like what you're saying, instead of so many button clicks, it's that you're chatting and then, you're talking about the travel plans and it generates a travel plan and books the travel plan. And actually, OpenAI operator actually showed that demo in terms of, and it's quite limited now and it's a bit dangerous. So you have to take control at times. But that future, just imagine that future. It's, yes, apps, enterprise apps, but the whole internet is different.
Yeah, I think there's already like web technology that.
Go ahead, David.
I just think there's already web technology. The web pages manifest themselves. They don't exist until you go there. But I think what we're going to see is more autonomy, obviously more personalization. I think adding this guardrails or self-healing, I'll call it. So it's going to be able to recognize potentially when it screws up or it's overstepping its bounds and hopefully self-correct and when to engage a human.
I think we'll see a shift from trying to figure out where we insert AI to trying to figure out where we insert a human. So that shift will be an indication.
Yeah. One interesting way to think about it is, as people are saying, like SaaS is going to go away, replaced by agents. All ERP systems are going to. I don't think these things are going to go away. I think agentic AI is going to be the orchestrating layer on top of all of these, right? Agents will go and call your SaaS application. They'll call your CRM, like, Agentforce is doing, right? Already trying to do, or your ERP, and then say, okay, let me collect this information to find out your customer's lifetime value. Now let me go into marketing documents and find out what is the best marketing offer for that customer. Right. So being able to orchestrate across your structured data, your SaaS systems, your databases, your document files, your like tribal knowledge with people, right? People are so critical. Putting it all together as a team, as a multi-agent system, right, with humans and software agents. I think that's where the magic happens. And I do see us very, very rapidly going there in the next maybe 2 to 3 years.
Yeah, and I think one of the good point there, Unmesh, because one of the things people forget is that organizations are in flight. You cannot stop an organization and say, okay, now let's stop all these legacy applications, let's move to AI agents. And that's what happened. Like if you look at mainframes, we still do have mainframes. The only thing, like Unmesh, like you said, it has gone to the back end and then we are developing newer things. So yeah, I think that's probably a scenario we're looking at where agents, and that's why I'm bullish about agentic process automation, is because it can, within a workflow, work across these applications and workflows.
One interesting use case I'm kind of discussing with a couple of CPG retailer companies is, would you be able to model as individuals, right, our own sort of digital twin or agent? And then companies will actually have their replicas, and then people will not necessarily interact with the systems, their agents will, right? So if I want to set up a meeting with David, right, Our agents will talk to each other. They'll refer to their own calendars, preferred modes of communication, negotiate and say, hey, David and Unmesh, you guys are meeting at this time using this link on Zoom or whatever, right? So we are not spending time on doing the run-of-the-mill stuff, right? We are actually letting the agents do a lot of it, and we are having the more, hopefully more intelligent, more interesting conversation than the agents have.
Like,
I think if that got applied to personalized marriages, that might lead to a lot of divorces. So be careful there, my friend.
Yeah. But I'm
actually
reading
like,
that it's being applied for dating systems and stuff, right? Matching.
You mean you actually wanted to talk to me? What?
well, I was gonna say I just did a thing on LinkedIn, Deepfake Dave. So I cloned myself. So Deepfake Dave, you could meet with him, and like I don't know where I fit in this whole equation anymore, but it is quite interesting.
Yeah.
If-
Okay. Brings us back to the beginning.
AI agents now have their own language that they can communicate with each other if one of them happens to be talking to the other one and they realize they're both AI. They just switch the language that's easier for them.
Okay, all right, excellent, guys. I mean, I think that's a great point to end it on. That's a great future. We are looking at AI talking to AI and people talking to AI. And so, yep, thank you, everyone. It was a great chat today. A lot of great insights, and thank you so much. So, Jonathan.
And thank you all for that great conversation. It was wonderful listening in for the last hour. Before we go, though, I'd love to invite each of you an opportunity to promote your solution, your podcast, LinkedIn profile, book, whatever you'd like to talk about. Casey, I know you have a hard exit in a few minutes, so I'm going to let you go first.
I appreciate it. So for anyone who's interested in kind of what I talked about in terms of the collapsing or the automation of the workflow with AI agents, check out Prometheum, www.prometheum.ai. What we focus on is specifically for analytics, being able to have a data answer agent. So think of that as your entire data team, governance team, your data engineering team, your data analyst team, your BI team, where you can use the AI agent to actually build entire data products and generate entire outcomes. So check us out on that. And also check out the Data Fabric podcast. It's on Spotify, YouTube, Apple. It's something that we have data leaders come on to talk about latest trends such as AI, data fabric, and other things, accomplishments, challenges, and so forth. So thank you guys so much. It's been an absolute blast and pleasure being here.
Thank you for being here. I appreciate your time. John, let's go to you next.
Hey, John Santaferraro with Ferraro Consulting. I'm also the host of the Digital Analyst here at Inside Jam. One of the exciting things I'm working on right now is the completion of a course called AI Literacy for Executives. Literacy has been identified as one of the top most important thing for executives, organizations. So doing that with Donald Farmer, actually, he and I are co-developing the course and working on a book along with it. So this AI literacy is a big deal. So connect with me on LinkedIn. You can find my stuff at ferraroconsulting.com and definitely tune in to the Digital Analyst podcast.
Thank you very much for that plug. David, let's go to you next.
Hey, folks, thanks for listening today. So David Schweener of Tiny Tech Guides. If you're interested in just the general topic of AI, we have the Generative AI Practitioner's Guide. That's a more technical book. It goes through 5 LLM patterns. We have a Generative AI Business Applications book, which is about the use cases and how AI is applied, and just the foundational book on AI. And most recently came out, if any marketers are out there, the PMM's Prompted Playbook. So visit tinytechguides.com and hope to see you out there.
Appreciate that. Paige, where would you like to send the audience?
Sure. Hi. I work at GridGain, and GridGain is the creator and contributor of Apache Ignite. GridGain processes enterprise-wide data in milliseconds. Combine a fast multimodal database with the execution of streaming, transactional, and analytical workloads in real time, and integration with things like LangChain. And it's the power you need to make AI work.
Well said. Unmesh, over to you.
Yeah. Hi. It's been such a pleasure to be here. So thank you for listening in. As I said, I'm the Senior Vice President of Gen AI at Credence. Credence is your trusted partner for your advanced Gen AI, AI machine learning, data science, and data service solutions. Our team helps you build custom solutions to extract the value of your data to AI, Gen AI, and data science. and our domain-specific proven frameworks accelerate your journey. So if you're looking for any help with your Gen AI initiatives or rollouts, do reach out to me or reach out to your Credence representative, and we will be happy to help you with that. Thank you.
Sounds great. Thank you. Nanda.
Thank you, Jonathan. Thanks, everyone. This was fun moderating this panel. I'm Nandan Mulakara. I'm founder of Bot Nirvana. As I said, we're enabling the next-gen digital transformation with AI agents. Check out our latest video, which is going viral, on how you can build your AI agent team. Go search up Google for Bot Nirvana, BOTNIRVANA, and you can get to wherever our channels are. It will be exciting to work with you to build your first AI agent team, and we can do that quickly. And also, look up my name and connect with me on LinkedIn. Thank you.
Sounds good. Thank you very much, one and all, for your time. And thank you for your attention. If you'd like to dive deeper into this topic and learn more about enterprise technology, we, of course, encourage you to visit our newly rebranded website, insightjam.com, an enterprise technology community for all your needs and research. We hope you can join the conversation. And including that, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, now over 720,000 subscribers, a great place for panel highlights, weekly podcasts, expert advice, and a whole lot more. We will be back in a few months for our Q2 mini jam, so save the date, June 12th, 2025. Until then, though, thank you for watching and listening. My name is John, and we hope to see you next time.
For video highlights, replays, and more, visit insightjam.com.